I'm ready.
Okay.
I don't like to brag and I don't like to boast, said Peter T. Hooper. But speaking of toast and speaking of kitchens and ketchups and cake and kettles and stoves and the stuff people bake, well, I don't like to brag, but I'm telling you, Liz, that speaking of cooks, I'm the best that there is. That speaking of cook, why? Only last Tuesday, when mother was out, I really cooked something worth talking about. You see, I was sitting here, resting my legs, and I happened to pick up a couple of eggs. And I sort of got thinking it's sort of shame that scrambled eggs always taste always the same. And that's because ever since goodness always knows when, they've always been made from the eggs of hen, just a plain common hen. What a dumb thing to use, with all of the other fine eggs you could choose. And so I decided that just for a change, I'd scramble a new kind of egg of the range. Some fine fancy eggs that no other cooks like the eggs of ruffle-necked salamagooks or salamagooks. Say, they should be good. So I went out and find some as quick as I could. And while I was lugging them back to the house, I happened to notice a teasel-topped grouse in a tree down the street. And I knew from her looks that her egg and the egg of a salamagooks ought to mix might well, ought to taste simply super when scrambled together by Peter T. Hooper. So I took those eggs home and I frizzled them up. And I added some sugar, 2/3 of a cup, and small pinch of pepper, and also a pound of horseradish sauce that was sitting around, and also some nuts. Then I tasted the stuff, and it tasted quite fine, but not quite fine enough. To make the best scramble that's never been made, a cook has to cook the best eggs ever laid. So I drove to the country quite rather far out, and I studied the birds that were flitting about.
All right. Very nice. Very good, strong start. Thank you. And let's continue. Soyeon,
Yes,
go ahead.
I look with great care at a mud noodle finch. I look at beagle big bell headed grinch. And also I look at a shade roasting quill, was roasting right under a lacerback's tail. And I look at a sprinch and a funnel winged jay. But I just didn't stop. I kept right on my way. 'Cause they didn't have eggs. They weren't laying that day. Then suddenly, boy, up the hill a short space. Birds, they were laying all over the place. Great happy gay family with uncle and cousins, all laying fine strictly fresh eggs by the dozen. Why, I'd have a scramble more super than super. Scrambled eggs super-de duper-de booper. Special deluxe a la Peter T. Hooper. I pick out the eggs in the most careful way. I only picked those that I knew were grade A. I only took eggs from the very best foals, so I didn't take eggs from the Tweedle owls. Because I knew that the eggs from those fellow who tweedle taste sort of like dust from inside a bass fiddle. I went for the kind that were mellow and sweet, and the world's sweetest eggs are the eggs of the quit, which is due to those very sweet trout which they eat. And those trout, well, they are sweet because they only eat wax. And wax, after all, are the world's sweetest frogs. And the reason they are sweet is, whenever they lunch, it's always the world's sweetest bees that they munch. And the reason the bees can be sweeter than these, they only eat blossom of beesnut trees. And this beesnut blossom are sweeter than sweet. And that's why I nabbed several eggs from the quit. But I passed up the eggs of the bird called strudel, who sort of struck, but with fur like poodle. For they say that the eggs of this kind of stork are gooey like glue, and they stick to your fork. And these yolks of these eggs, I am told, taste like frizz, while the white tastes like very old bicycle grease.
Okay, very nice work with the voice, giving it some life. I like that a lot. Good job. Yaden, go ahead.
The place is a hike to the lodge that I remember to find the best eggs that have ever been scrambled. I hunted near birds along wild tangled trails, through gullies and gorges down dingles and dales. I wiggled my way and I crawled at a creek, through a forest of ferns that was 40 miles deep, and I rushed through the brush till I found a fine trigger. Those eggs are as big as a pin, had no vigor. Then I went for the eggs of a long-legged quail. Now this quail, where she's built just a little bit long, for her legs are so terribly, terribly long that she has to lay eggs 20 feet in the air, and they drop with a plop to the ground from up there. So unless you can catch them before the eggs crash, you have got eggs. You have got long letter hash. Eggs. I would collected 302, but I still needed more. And I suddenly knew that the job was too big for one fellow to do. So I telegraphed nurse to some friends near Fazhou, which is 10 miles or so just beyond North Pole, and they all of them jumped in their katana side, which is sort of a boat made of sea leopard's hide, which they sailed out to sea to go looking for grease. This is sort of a boat which lays eggs on the ice, which they grab with a tool which is known as a squitch, because those eggs are too cold to be touched without which. And while they were sending those eggs, I got word of a bird that does something that's almost unheard of. It's hard to believe, but this bird called a parrot lays eggs that are 3 times as big as herself. How the fellows ever learned such a difficult trick, I never found out, but I found that egg quick, and I managed to get it down out of the nest and home to the kitchen along with the rest. But I didn't stop then, because I knew of some ducks by the name of the single pie Zambian ducks.
All right, excellent, excellent rhythm pattern going there. Very good. All right, Yaden. Oh, wait, yeah. Sorry, that was Yaden. Next, Minsu.
Draw single file through the mountains of thumbs, quite oddly enough with their X on their thumbs. And some fellows in them who I happen to know just happened to capture 1,000 or so, and they wrapped up their eggs and they married them by air, like special delivery, handled with care. I needed more helpers and so for assistance, I called up a fellow named Ali long distance, and Ali, as soon as he hung up the phone, picked up the small basket and started alone to climb the steep crags and the jacks on my struccle to fetch me the eggs of a struccle cuckoo. Now these mouse struccle cuckoos are rather small girls, but these mouse struccle cuckoos have lots of big pails. They dived from the skies with wild cackling shrieks, and they jabbed at his leg and they stabbed at his cheeks with their yammering, clamoring, hammering beaks. But Ali, brave Ali, he fought his way through, and he sent me that egg as I knew he would do, for my scrambled egg super duper booper special deluxe a la Peter T. Hooper. In the meanwhile, of course, I was keeping real busy collecting the eggs of a 3-eyelash tizzy. They're quite hard to reach, so I rode to the top of Hamika, Shinimika, Shinamika, Shinop. And I found a great flock of southwest-facing cranes, and I guessed there was something that's wrong with their brains. For this kind of crane, when she's guarding her nest, will always stand facing precisely southeast-west. So to get at those eggs wasn't hard in the least. I came from behind, from precisely northeast. And I captured the eggs of a greatly cactus, who lays them up high in a prickly cactus. Then I went for some gifs that were exactly like Jeffs, but the gifs live on cliffs and the Jeffs live on bluffs. And seeing how bluffs are exactly like cliffs, it's mighty hard telling the Jeffs from the gifs. But I know that the eggs that I got from the bluffs, if it wasn't a gifs from the cliffs, was a Jeffs.
Nice. Great work on that last slide. That's one of the hardest in the whole project, and that was very good. All right, very good. Last one. Go ahead, Sungju.
Now I needed the egg of a mouse matching nest who's a bird who's so big she scares people to death. And this awful big bird, where the reason they name her the mouse matching nest is because that's how they tame her. She likes watching mouse, sort of quiets her mind. And while she's watching, you sneak up behind and you yank out her egg. So I got on a course with the help of some friends and a very fast horse. If you want to get eggs you can buy at the store, you have to do things never thought of before. Why, to get at the egg of one very small dove, we had to pry all of one mountain top off. Then I heard of some birds who lays eggs, if you please, that taste like the air in the halls of Swiss cheese. And they live in big Zanzibar trees, so I ordered a tree full, the job was immense. But I needed those eggs and said hang the expense. I still needed one more and I saved it for last, the egg of the frightful bombastic aghast. And the bird is so mean and the bird is so fast that I had to escape on a silica jest. A fleet-footed beast who can run like a deer but looks sort of different, you steer him by ear. All through the searching, all through the looking, I had all I needed, and now for the cooking. I rushed to the kitchen, the place where I stacked them. I rolled up my sleeves. I unpacked them and cracked them and shook them and choked them in 99 pans. Then I mixed in some beans. I used 55 cans. Then I mixed in some ginger, 9 prunes and 3 figs, and parsley, crushed parsley, just 22 sprigs. Then I added 6 cinnamon sticks and a clove, and my scramble was ready to go on the stove. And you know how they tasted? They tasted just like, well, they tasted exactly just like scrambled egg super, the duper, the booper, special deluxe a la Peter T. Hooper.